1510 AM, 94.5 FM.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. All my life.
Welcome to Darren and Sterling here, ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM, 1510.com, and Facebook Live. Fun day. Not.
Fun day.
Horrible day if you're a Chiefs fan. Looking like Kansas City is becoming the hot spot when it comes to COVID. Kansas City Chiefs are getting
Round
ravaged.
zero.
Getting ravaged. Blake Schneider's back there running the board today. Darren, I don't even want to ask, but I got to. How are you doing?
I'm personally doing fine. We're doing much better if the Chiefs learn to listen to me. So we see, if people are going crazy on one of my posts on Facebook, because I tweeted out yesterday, especially when we heard about Kielce and Tyreke Sword and Harrison Butker. I'm like, because I brought this up to you to read a couple of weeks ago about perhaps the team, rent out a hotel or something and kind of, because with it picking up after Thanksgiving, all these positive tests, that if you want to make sure as best you possibly can to avoid an outbreak is kind of I guess you call it a bubble situation, but rent out a hotel. I mean, it's not like the Chiefs don't have the money to do it. You can rent out a hotel for the next month or so, kiss your baby, kiss your wives or whatever goodbye, your girlfriends, your side chicks goodbye. But for that next month, 2 months that it takes to be all in and to focus on what you got going on with the Lombardi Trophy in your, setting your sights on the Lombardi Trophy, make the sacrifices that you need to make over these next couple of months and be all in and try to avoid, being out in the public as much as possible. So you don't have a scenario where, as we're seeing right now, the Chiefs are going to have a lot of positive tests with more to come as we get ready for Pittsburgh, as they get ready for Pittsburgh on Sunday.
Yeah. And what's interesting to me is a lot of this is the Omicron variant, which no one knows eventually, but initial reports are it's less symptoms, but it spreads more. It seems like it's a lot more asymptomatic cases, but the spread rate seems to be higher. The NFL is doing the whole, if you're asymptomatic, only one test now instead of two, only one day. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out going forward. If there's a certain viral load, say you test positive, but the viral load is a certain number, maybe there's a threshold. Maybe they'll allow guys to play. I don't know exactly how it's going to go going forward. My initial thought is hopefully they can push the game back to Tuesday. That's my initial thought. If they did it for,
I don't know about Tuesday. You might maybe a Monday.
You did it for Washington.
But again, scenarios was a little bit different, just a little bit. I mean, granted, they did push those games respectively two days apart. I don't think because of the lateness of the season, plus you're looking at the holidays and stuff like that. I don't think if you do, I think you push it, if anything, to Monday. But what we will do, and before we go further jumping back to this, we will have on a special guest at the bottom of the hour who can talk a lot about what's going on with the COVID stuff. We will be joined by Sylvester Williams, who's the founder and CEO of Quantum Laboratory. Now, for those of you all who might be familiar with the name as Blake is, he was a member. He was a defensive tackle and a member of the Super Bowl 50 Broncos team that won the Super Bowl. So he'll be joining us at the bottom of the hour. He's the CEO and president, one of the few Black-owned laboratories in the country. So we'll be talking with him about his work and his thoughts as a former player, about this situation. But going back to what we're looking at, I mean, this is a scenario to where we don't know. Again, those are just the three names. Well, we had Rashad Fenton, Tyreke Hill, and then one other player.
I think it was Blake Bell.
Blake Bell that tested positive today. But to your point again, you can test negative once based off of the new protocols that set in place. And what I was talking with Allie before the show, one of the reasons why we know about Tyreke and him is because based off of what the protocols were last week, they still had to test daily through week 15. Week 15 doesn't officially end until tonight because of the 2 games that got pushed back. Had it into yesterday, we might not have known that Tyreke and those other 2 players tested positive. They could have essentially played in Sunday's game against the Steelers with COVID and not know because of based on how the new protocols are. You have to feel, you have to at least feel inside that you have symptomatics or whatever, and you go get tested and you find a positive. But players could have symptoms now and decide not to get tested because they don't want to, risk out. And to your point, even though the Omicron is not as, let's say, I guess, devastating as the original COVID-19, even though it is contagious. The problem is that you can still be out 10 days. Look at Baker Mayfield. I mean, a lot of those players are vaccinated, but as long as you're testing positive for it, can't come back and play.
Yeah, so Nick Jacobs, he did a fantastic job over there at 41 News. He did a great job breaking this down. On Monday the 13th, Josh Gordon. On the 14th, Chris Jones. 15th, Willie Gay. 17th, Garrett Dieter, practice squad. On the 20th, so yesterday, Travis Kielce, Javarius Ward, Harrison Butker. And then today, Tyreke, Rashad Fenton, Blake Bell. It was my understanding Harrison Butker is for sure going to be out because he was unvaccinated. That was my initial understanding. I thought there was one other player who was unvaccinated on Kansas City. I don't remember who it was.
It might have been Sorensen, but if that is the case, then
Elliott Fry Elliott. Is that Blake? Am I correct? Elliott Fry? Do you know? On Kansas City Chiefs kicker, they brought in Elliott Fry.
Let me look it up.
I think it's Elliott Fry, which is horrible because the name Elliott in Kansas City and kicker, that does not bode well. But he was brought in actually last week just as an emergency, just in case. Well, that just in case turns out smart decision. Elliott Fry is going to be kicking for Kansas City this week if the Chiefs decide to not go for every single 4th down and pull a Brandon Staley.
Well,
correct. It is Elliott Fry.
Okay, but going back to Harrison Butker, because now if you're saying that he's unvaccinated, then I'm going to have to contact the Chiefs because I have a problem with that because he had been addressing the media without a face mask on.
That was my understanding as far as the rules go, that he was already declared out. Because
no, I'm not talking about yesterday.
Sure.
No, I'm talking about throughout the season. He has spoken to the media without a face mask on.
Sure.
That's so okay, but I'll worry about that.
Let me get this pulled up, but it's not 100% confirmed. But all of the rumblings on Twitter has been he is probably not vaccinated, considering he is already out, and all the other players are considered as questionable.
We were okay. Oh well, again, going into the season, we were told that they were close to, if not at 100%. So that they were fully vaccinated. So
could it be that his symptoms are actually bad enough that they've already declared him out, even though maybe he is vaccinated?
Sure. And that could be the case too. Just everything I've seen so far has been he's the only one declared out, and that's why Elliott Fry has already been activated to the active roster, and that's why the Chiefs are going to go with him. Again, this could be a game where the Chiefs decide to be a lot more aggressive, which I would not be opposed to. We'll see some Andy Reid pulling some Brandon Staley's. Maybe we go for a lot more 2-point conversions.
Seems like Nate Taylor, according to one of our viewers, says that Butker is vaccinated. That's what I thought, because and
maybe he is, and just everything I've been seeing pulling up right now has been that's what it seems. So obviously a lot of reports out there. We'll see what goes on, but everything I've seen has shown he's at least missing the Steelers game. So take that as what you will. Yeah. Vaccinated or not, he's missing the game.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, yeah, trust me. I'm be more concerned about the skill players missing the game versus Butker. But again, I'm still trying to wrap my mind about it because again, I could have sworn that they said that 100% of the players in the Chiefs team was vaccinated. So if by some reason he's not vaccinated, that's a problem within itself. But that's again. But I'm just going off of what they told me. So if Nate's reporting that, I'm gonna take him at his word because that's what we were told initially. So initially the only person that we knew about was Daniel Sorensen. So unless something had changed when the season started, again, that's the only one that I was aware of before the season started that wasn't vaccinated. But be that as it may, of course, a lot of people are wondering, will the NFL move the game? I don't see it happening just yet. I think it's still too early in the week with a chance for players to test out negative. However, because the way Adam Schefter's tweet was kind of cryptic, in fact, he did post out there that other players likely coming, but as one source said, it's a mess. So I'm not sure, according to he and Adam Teicher, that those players are placed on the reserve COVID list, and we'll just have to see how many more might get added to it.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing is there's still going to be more popping up. I would be extremely shocked if it just ended here. You're hoping it does, but you got to be shocked if there aren't more players that pop up from now, Tuesday, until Sunday's game. And again, maybe we'll see other guys come off the list. We'll see maybe Chris Jones. Maybe we'll see Josh Gordon come back. We'll see Willie Gay. And that's what you're hoping for. And that's why I don't think, because I don't know how the NFL is going to operate this, but I would hope they push the game back to Tuesday so Kansas City has enough players. I know everyone thinks Kansas City is going to beat the Steelers no matter what because the Steelers can't move the football. I understand that, but if you're giving a completely full Steelers team against a Chiefs team that's missing 25% of its starters, that's scary. That's an even matchup.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The Chiefs have been fortunate on the 7-game win streak to have a lot of dominoes and a lot of things falling in their place. Things are, kind of catching up to them this year. Well, this week as it relates to the COVID thing. Now, I don't know. Now, I mentioned this before. I've mentioned this. I think I talked a little bit about it on the show yesterday with Lebo. I know I tweeted about it, and of course, people started to pick it up. But what I said was that what the Chiefs need to do, but likely won't do, as they got closer to the playoffs, was rent out the Sheraton or the Marriott, and house the team and staff until the conclusion of their playoff run. Ignore the suggestion all you want, I said, but don't go cold red when and if Patrick gets COVID-19. Yeah. Now, people think I'm trying to. I'm not saying Patrick will get it. I don't. If he gets it, he gets it. Man, I don't.
You're in a locker room with these guys.
Yeah, but see, because people forget. Travis contracted. Now I don't know if he contracted it while we were in LA, whether on the flight back home, sometime back here. I do know Travis was at the podium. I was about 6 feet, maybe, depending on height or whatever. Where I'm sitting at filming the postgame stuff. So Travis got it. I'm there. Steve was in the back. Well, Steve was a little further back, so he might, but still within that 6 feet range. The Chiefs PR, none of them had masks on. After the deal, we're all in each other's faces or whatever. So I can assure you, though, I get tested all the time just because.
You have to, too.
Well, not anymore because they decided to go virtual, but I still get tested just because I make a weekly appointment to get tested. So I'm negative. But again, it does make me wonder, though, that if he got it, obviously Tyreke had it. Patrick said on one of his radio shows yesterday that he did get the booster. So perhaps, we'll just have to wait and see because I'm not one that wants to speculate. But here's the thing. If you've got players that are in that close of proximity,
you're in a locker room together.
You're in a locker room.
You're flying together.
You're damn in the shower together.
Yeah.
So that's
to me. What's going to be interesting is it would be nice if Jody Fortson didn't get hurt. Jody Fortson, this could be a huge game for him if he was healthy. I feel bad for him because if Blake Bell and Travis Kielce can't go, you got Noah Gray. Maybe we'll see Noah Gray show out. He's been pretty quiet this year. You're always going to be second fiddle at best when you have Travis Kielce on this team. But maybe this is a game that Noah Gray shows out. This could be a game where we see a lot of the young guys we haven't seen much from step up. It's not what you want to see, but at least for me, if there was a team for this to happen too, where you're missing some of your guys, it's probably the Steelers game.
I would have preferred it against Denver. But
no, sure, but the Steelers
that's just my preference.
Can't score. If you put up 21 points, you're beating the Steelers.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to go there because they scored 30-some points against the Chargers a few weeks ago on Sunday Night Football. So I'm not going to go there because anything can happen. Sure. So look, one thing I've learned that you should have learned this NFL season is never speak in absolute because
Detroit.
when you do, New Orleans Saints beating, shutting out Tom Brady.
I told you.
Night, but I
didn't call it shutout.
Yeah, so I'm saying so. I don't want to do the absolute. Look, we're not that show. We're not gonna do that. Let's just say that, we would like to see them step up and do, and do what we would think would be the obvious for those players. Again, the opportunity is there. I'm with you because let's say a McCole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, especially Demarcus Robinson, you're on a one-year deal. It's opportunities like this that to prove that you should get another contract, whether it's here or somewhere else. I mean, this is you want an opportunity to put something on film to showcase that you are, that guy. Not saying you're not a number one or anything like that, but
sure.
that you can be Huntley, the kid who came in for Lamar Jackson on Sunday. He probably parlayed that performance into a nice little contract.
He just pulled a Matt Flynn.
Exactly. So that's what you want to see with these players who, if given the opportunity, step up and take what's there for you.
Yeah. That's what you're hoping for. At the end of the day, that's all you're hoping for. But I do think, if anything, Travis Kielce, Tyreke Hill's huge losses for Kansas City. But if anything happens to Mahomes, I could almost guarantee that game's getting pushed back. There's no chance the NFL right now, with all of those guys out, I could not see them keep this game. And not only is it about the money, we know this. It is a business. That's why they put the rules in place for COVID, where it's only one day instead of two. Their whole deal is money. That's what they want. And if Mahomes is out, Tyreke Hill's out, Travis Kelce's out, do you think they're going to want to watch Chad Henne go up against the corpse of Big Ben? That's not getting ratings. And too much is at stake. The number one seed in the AFC is at stake. I think there's just a lot of moving parts here. We'll see what plays out, but I am getting very nervous that more names are going to start popping up between now, Tuesday, and Sunday.
From Anita Squire, she says the NFL needs to postpone the entire season for at least 2. That ain't happening. If not more, like the NBA did last year, like the NHL is currently doing. Now, the difference is they have 82 games. They have a lot, they can do that. NFL, you have a short amount of time and stadiums and the Super Bowl booked up. They're not going to do that. It is time to move fans out of the stadiums. They're not going to do that. It sickens me that the NFL is putting their bottom line of money ahead of human life. Here's the thing. It's not just the NFL. The NFL players want to get paid too. Again, this is something that they agreed upon as a season, before the season began. Games are not going to get canceled, and they really do not want to postpone any more games outside of what they've done this week, because you start to get into a calendar competitive issue, so to speak. Because again, the Chiefs. I think this Saturday is the only other time they're going to have Saturday games before the end of the season. But you just don't want to get into a scenario where if the Chiefs, if that game is postponed to Monday or potentially Tuesday, then you're giving another team who plays on Sunday a possible competitive advantage, because they'll have a week's worth of rest versus 4 or 5 days for another team. So that's the reason why I don't foresee it happening again. I did say though, if Patrick tested positive, they might do that because he's boy wonder. So, but I don't see it happening. One, they're not postponing anything. Like, they're not going to shut down for 2 weeks. It ain't happening. And they're also not going to not have fans in the stadium again, because they lost a lot of money from that last year. They're not doing it. I was telling somebody on Twitter, they're not moving the game out of SoFi Stadium in LA. They're not moving it to Dallas. They're keeping it. The Super Bowl is going to stay in LA. It's going to be 100% attendance in that deal. You might have to be vaccinated, show a card or something, but they're going to have 70,000 plus fans in that stadium for Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is the whole fan aspect of it. Why would you move the fans out? Because there is no correlation between the players getting it and having fans in the stadium so far compared to last season. There's no real big difference that you've seen, and there hasn't been some crazy spike in a report. Not that anybody's really done this report, that the fans all of a sudden are getting it and then somehow getting there's no real correlation between having the fans there and not having them there compared to players got it. How many players got it last year and how many players are getting it this year? Especially if with the Omicron variant, as we've seen so far, a lot less significant on the symptom side, but way more contagious.
Again, it is contagious, and it picked up obviously with the weather changing, and of course holiday season,
and just flu season in general.
And it's going to get much worse because you've got Christmas this weekend, and then you of course have New Year's the following weekend. Again, the question is going to be whether or not the players. Now, I believe they're willing to do it because, again, I asked Patrick this, and so I'm not going to ask Andy something. I'm not going to ask Patrick whether people like it or not. But Patrick said that they're willing to do whatever it takes. Now, willing to do whatever it takes sounds good for a soundbite. Again, I picked up on it. Because I even asked Andy about it after the LA game. What's he going to tell his players to do during the break or whatever? And he says, "Be smart." That is what he said in LA when I asked Sterling. Everybody know. I can say pull up the tape. You can pull up the footage. All you got to do is go to my social media pages and just hit rewind on the press or hit fast forward and get to my question. Again, this is stuff that I foresee because I'm thinking, I always think about multiple of stuff because one, I like my travel. I do plan.
Two, you want to know how your betting's going to play out.
Yeah.
Darren, you're just like the NFL. You worry about that bottom line.
No, not as it relates. No, I'm more so about that than I am about the bet when it comes to that because, again, I travel, I cover the team, so, I'm going to be there, so I at least like to know if it's going to be a competitive edge. But the bet part I don't care too much about. But it does become an issue, though, because the Chiefs, when they were 3-4, they had to basically run the damn gauntlet to get to where they are right now. You don't want to get to here only to have it blow up in your face because players aren't taking care of themselves. Players are just being a little bit more out and about. We were talking to somebody yesterday and on our Red Hour show, and they were telling us that of all the player events that they've had going on, outside of his own charitable event, they have not seen Patrick Mahomes out and about at any of these player functions. At his 15th in the Mahomes, he was there, but he wasn't at Tyreke. He wasn't at some of these other players' charity stuff because he's like isolating himself. That's somebody who's all in. Again, I get the players doing the thing for the charity stuff, no problem whatsoever. Do it 100% behind that. But outside of that, and Patrick is guilty of this, don't need to be out on the plaza after the Raiders game here. Saying go home, keep your ass at home. Uber Eats, DoorDash, what it said. I mean, look, man, because if people talk about, let them live their life. Okay, it's cool to say that, but if Patrick comes up with COVID, y'all gonna lose y'all ish around here about, why can't these players just lock themselves up or get a hotel like Darren suggested? Hey, I'm just trying to think about it well in advance so we don't have the situation we're having an outbreak right now.
No, I get it. In a perfect world, that's what they do. But at the end of the day, these are human beings. No, I agree. But in a perfect world, 2 years, like I understand, and I agree. It would be the best possible scenario
for Sterling Holmes, who loves to just toss in the 3-point buckets.
Yeah.
If you played if you backed up Steph Curry on the Golden State Warriors and they got close to the NBA playoffs, what would you be willing to sacrifice to make
all
sure
of it? I would.
Okay,
100%. But not every player has the same. Most do in the Chiefs.
But that's the thing. They did it last year.
They did.
And COVID was much worse last year than it is now.
I would say this. I am surprised Kansas City has it. I'm surprised the Ravens had a huge outbreak. I'm surprised the Titans had a huge outbreak. I'm surprised Cleveland had a huge outbreak. I did not think we would see it in playoff contenders as much. I thought, like you said, these teams, they know what's at stake. If you are a Super Bowl contending team, you want to take all the possible precautions because you know what's at stake. If you're the Houston Texans, you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're the New York Jets, I wouldn't have been surprised if any of those teams would have had huge outbreaks. Also, those are in big cities where outbreaks have been happening. But I am a little surprised that we're seeing some of the playoff contenders have massive outbreaks while some of the teams that they're not playing for anything, they're the teams that have seemingly gone through this so far, at least, with minimal issues.
And see, people have asked me on social media, well, don't you go out? Here's the thing. I go out. I don't even go to the casino much right now, one, because I do my gambling online. But I travel, I do all the other things, but you know what? I still wear a mask everywhere I go. I mean, I still take precautions because while for me, it's just like going to the restroom. Man, I don't really like shaking people's hands where they go coming in there because I don't know if you're washing in the night. And when I go in there, I see a lot of dirty mofos just use the restroom and do it.
How gross is that?
I just be like, come on, man.
Is that a thing? Like people shaking hands in the bathroom?
No, I'm not saying no. But
that's what you were saying.
No, what I'm saying is that if I see someone coming out from the area,
yeah, you're not.
I mean, I really like
everybody high five.
No, I really like to shake people's hands in general because I don't know where they're coming from, and I don't know how their hands are. I'll dap. Some love, some of that stuff. But yeah, I don't really like the formal handshake type stuff anymore because of that. But again, I mean, I go out, I do things, but I take the precautions. Sure. And that's just because not only am I trying to protect others who might think I have it, but I'm trying to protect myself as well. Yeah. And so I don't. And people,
I don't care if people say
I'm vaccinated. I haven't got boosted yet. I'm vaccinated. But again, man, I mean, I don't. Man, look. It's going to do. I know folk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know people who have passed away who have been vaccinated. Yeah, who've been vaccinated and still passed through COVID. So it don't matter if you're vaccinated or not. If it's going to get you, it's going to get you. But at least put yourself in a predicament to where you can lessen the opportunity for you to catch it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. I mean, end of the day, you got to take precautions. End of the day, these players. They know what's at stake, but they're adults. They're adults, and it's very difficult to tell a 24-year-old guy who's making millions and millions of dollars, who's at the peak of his prowess. I'm not just saying Mahomes. I'm saying other players too.
Actually, it's not. Because if Clark, Brett, or Andy, if they're paying them, you can tell them, keep your ass at home.
Sure, if they say that, then yeah, they better keep their ass at home. But my point is, I as much as I want them to stay at home, as much as I would – respect them to stay at home because they know what's at stake is Super Bowl's on the line or at least a deep playoff run. If you're telling me a 24-year-old guy who's making millions and millions of dollars is just going to stay at home while he's in the peak of his fame, and they know it doesn't last forever. When guys retire, pretty quickly people start forgetting about you and they're on to the next thing. I would understand. I mean, there's some really good books from former players who have said it's really difficult once you retire. It's not the same anymore. It was fun going out when you were a player because you're the top of the world. You're the king.
But you know what's even more fun than that?
Winning the Super Bowl. I get it.
Thank you.
No, I'm just saying not every single player, though, has the exact same priorities as what we would like them to have.
On this particular team, when you have players, when you have leaders like them, I can assure you they want, they know what it takes, and they want to sacrifice at all costs. But look, we will take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll be joined by Sylvester Williams. We'll talk more about this COVID and the Chiefs here on ESPN Kansas City with Darren and Sterling.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of our future and getting back to what we love as more and more people get their COVID-19 vaccine. At the American Lung Association, we have science-based public health information you can trust to make a decision about the COVID-19 vaccination for yourself. Visit lung.org or call 1-800-LUNG-USA for more information.
Parents, we know we can't protect our kids from everything. Eventually, they're going to bump their heads or scrape their knees. But we can protect them from 6 types of cancer. HPV, or human papillomavirus, is a common preventable virus that can cause cancer later in life. The HPV vaccine prevents human papillomavirus and all the cancers it can cause. The American Cancer Society recommends getting your sons and daughters the HPV vaccine starting at age 9 to protect them later in life.
Serving overseas was just the beginning. We might be home from war, but our mission continues in communities all across the country. It's why we're out there in times of peace and crisis, providing meals to the hungry and supplies to the sick. It's why we're giving strength to those who are too weak and bringing resources to those without them. Service doesn't stop when we're done serving. It's what makes us the VFW. Learn more at vfw.org.
Parents, we know we can't protect our kids from everything. Eventually, they're going to bump their heads or scrape their knees. But we can protect them from 6 types of cancer. HPV, or human papillomavirus, is a common preventable virus that can cause cancer later in life. The HPV vaccine prevents human papillomavirus and all the cancers it can cause. The American Cancer Society recommends getting your sons and daughters the HPV vaccine starting at age 9 to protect them later in life.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Briscoe. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome back to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 FM, 1510 AM, 1510.com, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, Tiki Live Television.
If it's live, we got it.
If it's live, we're on there at the moment. We are joined by a very special guest. He was a member of the Super Bowl 50 Denver Broncos Super Bowl team, and he was a defensive tackle on that squad. We are joined by Mr. Sylvester Williams, who is the Chief Executive Officer as well as President of Quantum Laboratory. Mr. Williams, thank you so much for joining us today.
And listen, man, thank you for having me, man. It's definitely my pleasure.
Now, of course, for people who are, and Blake, I know you want to jump in on this. He says that he played with your brother, so Blake, I'll let you get in right quick.
Yeah, Sylvester, how are we doing? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I played with either your brother or maybe it was your cousin Cedric down at Coffeyville.
Cedric Williams is my brother, yeah.
Yes, sir. I figured. I remember you went to Coffeyville my second year. I think he showed up. And, yeah, but I played with him down at Coffeyville. So we all got the Red Raven connection.
Yeah, man. Red Raven for life, man. I tell you, man, that's a great way to start your journey, man, is that, man.
Now, Mr. Williams, now, one of the things that we were talking about in the first segment and didn't want to have you on for a long period of time, but, of course, because of what you do with your lab, Quantum Lab, you're one of the few 100% Black-owned labs in the country. Talk about some of the things that you do as it relates to this COVID-19, if possible.
So we do COVID testing, rapid COVID testing, PCR COVID testing, and we got pretty quick turnaround time, man. 24-hour turnaround times, and in some cases we get it back same day, depending on the severity of the situation. Given the world we live in right now, man, I tell people all the time, man, COVID is so important because it's a way to, number one, to stay on top of it, and then with the little variant, it's like, man, everybody needs to get tested. Whether you got tested last week, you need to get tested again.
With the rules that are, or with the protocol that's in place now, I believe the way they have it now, you only have to test negative once in a 24-hour period to be allowed to come back and practice and play. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the rule. Yeah, they came out with a whole new set of rules, which I mean, they think it's fair, but I mean, testing everybody every day is obvious.
Well,
best thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, and we saw. I mean, I know before the season started, the NFL Players Association, that's what they wanted the league to do. Last year, the league did daily testing, but because of, they said it was so expensive, that they decided to not do it this time because of the vaccine being out there. They said the players were vaccinated, that they would only have to test once a week. Those who were unvaccinated would have to test daily. But because of that, and one of the things I was explaining to some people before we came on the air today is that the new protocol, we would not have technically known that Tyreke Kielce Rashard Fenton and Blake Bill had tested positive today because according to what the protocol that was sent out on Saturday, it was initially going to be through the end and technically still through the end of week 15. But because those games got postponed from Sunday to Tuesday, it's still technically week 15, so they still have to do the daily testing. Hence, this is how we find out that Tyreke Hill and the two other players tested positive for COVID, because otherwise they would have gone through the week and perhaps even in the Sunday's game with COVID.
Yeah, 100%. And so you talk about, don't trust me, let's take that symptom. It just don't make no sense. I mean, at the end of the day, like, to be honest, man, it's a lot worse right now than it was last year. Would you agree?
It's definitely more contagious and it's having more of an impact. I mean, because there were a couple of games. Obviously, there were a few games last year that got postponed. I know the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans had outbreaks to where those games were kind of delayed a few days. But I think because of the gross number, I think yesterday they had between 49 and 51 players test positive. I don't think we've seen that type of those type of numbers even last year to what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, we played a game last year without a quarterback because of COVID.
True.
You know, against the Saints, and but at no point last year was it 47 positives in a single day. We didn't have that. We pretty much we tested every day. And the news, I mean, it's hard to, I mean, to me, if you testing every day, it's the best way to stay on top of it. Because the moment a player becomes infected with the coronavirus, you know, if I'm testing you every week, you could have had coronavirus for 6 days.
Exactly. Before you tested positive, and then now you might feel like you're out in additional 10 days. I do want to ask you, though, your thoughts on this. Because of the time frame that all these positive or these positive results or these positive tests are popping up, it's a difference between this year and last year, because those games initially were like October-ish when those delays were taking place versus December, where you're getting towards the end of the season, because people were asking about this game possibly being postponed and moved to a Monday or Tuesday, like last week's games were. I'm of the old adage that last week was an anomaly because of the new protocols that they agreed to over the weekend. It's hard for me to see them pushing this game or delaying this game any further, because again, you start getting into a calendar issue to where you'll be going into what is this, week 16 now, then you'll be going into week 17. You only got a couple of games left, and then you don't want certain teams having that competitive advantage. Do you think that the NFL should either shut down for a couple of weeks, or do you not foresee that happening?
I mean, in my opinion, everybody got to be on an even playing field.
Yep.
So, for instance, last year, man, we didn't our quarterback didn't even test positive. He was a close contact. We had to go out there and play with no quarterback. We had to play with a college quarterback, converted wide receiver, and we played our tail off for him. And so at the end of the day, it's the teams and these cities' job to keep these players safe. And if you can't keep your players safe, then if I'm Team A and okay, I keep that. We completely had to. We didn't put the work in during the week. We expect to play on Sunday, but we deserve to play on Sunday. And then Team B, they say, okay, well we had a situation where a player may not have gotten tested or may have got infected anyway. Okay, he catch COVID and spread it throughout the team. Okay, now the team don't necessarily got affected. Now they can push the game back to benefit one team. To me, it's going to always be one-sided. There's no way both two teams could benefit.
We're joined by Sylvester Williams, Super Bowl 50 champion of the Denver Broncos, who's also the chief executive officer and founder of Quantum Laboratories. Sterling.
Also just in Nick Bolton, Kyle Long, Lucas Niang, Armani Watts. They now are on the COVID list for positive tests, according to Tom Pellisario. Sylvester, you were with the Broncos for a while. You got to play against Kansas City. Do you have a little bit of a little hatred for Kansas City at all? Do you want them to lose? Are you still a Broncos guy, or where are you at now? Because I know you grew up St. Louis. I'm a Mizzou guy myself. I would have loved to see you there with Sheldon Richardson in college. That would have been incredible. But where do you stand when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs?
I mean, listen, man. I'm the type of person, man. Like with me, number one, I'm a Bronco at heart. I'm gonna always be a Bronco. I played 5 seasons in Denver, won a Super Bowl, went to another Super Bowl. You know, had Alabama, played with a lot of great players, man. Rest in peace to my brother, Demers, man. It was a tragedy. But, you know, man, if I would say to hate the Chiefs, not at all, man, because that's the only team we got left in Missouri. So I actually follow them very closely. And I'm also a fan of them as well, man. I mean, being on the, as long as I'm not playing against them, man, I try to root for them, man, you know, because it's like, man, it's a hometown team. A lot of people want from me, you know, transfer from the Rams to, you know, either when I'm playing that or they go to the Chiefs, you know. So I definitely root for them. I think they got a great organization, and I think that ultimately they should go on and win multiple Super Bowls because Patrick Mahomes is a heck of a quarterback.
Are you surprised at all at the fact that some of the, I would say, Super Bowl contenders or playoff teams, Titans, Browns, Kansas City, Ravens, have been ravaged so far, or at least early on, by COVID, while teams like Jacksonville, the Jets, Houston, who don't really have much to play for, have seemingly, at least early on, not had any outbreaks? You would almost think would be the opposite. The teams that have, they know what's on the line would be a lot more careful. Or do you think it's just a case of just unlucky, and we'll see some of the other teams who maybe aren't playing for as much, maybe get some outbreaks later on?
I mean, I think ultimately every team have an outbreak. I think, you know, with Kansas City, for one, Missouri is a hot state right now. I mean, it's a state that's, you know, on the rise as far as COVID cases. So, I mean, obviously, I can see a chance right there. You know, and Florida is a pretty warm state as well for as COVID testing. So I think eventually every team will have their own version of outbreak. I mean, unless it's a situation where they just competing. I mean, I think the best thing to do, obviously, with the amount of time that's left in the season, is to just lock everybody down and get through the season.
Bubble.
That's
NFL bubble.
That's what I suggested on social media yesterday. Put these players in a hotel, put your staff and team in a hotel, and just, you know, kiss your wife, kiss your girlfriend, kiss your side chick goodbye. And for the next 2 months, we need to be all in, focus on the task at hand. So, Sylvester, I want to ask you, going back to what you do. Why? Well, one, what made you decide to go in this direction? You know, in creating quantum laboratory, like what was the mindset? What was the objectivity behind it?
I mean, to me, man, I always been a big dreamer, and I made it to the NFL from then. I was kicked out of high school as a sophomore, started one game in high school, left high school, got a job at a factory, decided that I wanted to go back to school. My mentor, Coach Simon, ended up guiding me, you know, to go to a junior college, went on there, and when I got there, man, I said, I put my mind so I can do whatever I wanted to do. And I changed my life that day. I worked, man, and worked out 3 times a day. Could have went anywhere in the country I wanted to go. Changed my life. And so about 5 years ago, man, I wanted to get back into business. I wanted to try to find ways to create an impact that way. So I did get into business. And then about 2.5 years ago, I learned the impact that the laboratory had on the drug testing industry. Because I had 2 parents that struggled with drug abuse. So when I learned the impact it had on the rehabilitation centers and drug courts and so on and so forth, I did my research, man. There was no minority participation. I am the only Black-owned lab in Missouri. So it was a no-brainer for me, man. I felt like this is something I come in and create a legacy for myself outside of the football field. And, man, and getting into it, and then right in the middle of us opening up, the pandemic hit, which ultimately led us into bringing on a molecular platform and doing COVID testing. And man, I know one of y'all see I went to Missouri. We actually got a working relationship with the University of Missouri, and we work with them, man. So it's been a blessing.
Well, first of all, Sterling went to Mizzou, and I'm sorry for that. But I will say I do got a little beef to pick with you though, Sylvester, because there's no way that, even though I know you're a native of St. Louis, there's no way you're going to graduate from Jeff City High School and you went to North Carolina over Lincoln University when it was right across the street from me, you know me, we got some beef next time around. You know what I'm saying? So, I got to speak for my alma mater, even though the lovely Michelle Dozier hooked this interview up. I'm still, still a little salty about that. But, but at least you got a good education in North Carolina. I'm not going to affirm that. But I do want to ask you, what have you had any roadblocks and any stumbling blocks coming out, with this new venture of yours? Because I know, in talking with Shaw, I know, that everybody generally has a little bump in the road. Have you had any since you've gone in this endeavor?
I mean, we have had obviously we've ran into issues, you know what I'm saying, and we've ran into issues, it's because of the color of our skin, you know what I'm saying, and we don't look like we belong in the industry. Despite the fact that we offer a great service, we do a great job, and I ultimately do believe that, the more we continue to prove ourselves, the more, some of these large organizations will come over and give us a chance. Some of the larger FQAC, because our goal is to be a home for the underserved community, the rural community, the urban FQACs, is to be a home for them and to be able to provide them with service that, and not just label them as a number. You're not just another specimen for us. We want to actually have a relationship with you in order to give you quicker turnaround time or give you the customer service that you deserve.
So
that's just incredible, I think. I mean, that's what you want to hear. That's what you want. You want someone who actually cares about what they do. They're not in it for the money. They're in it because they want to actually care about the people that's involved. They want to serve the people. That's what you want to hear, especially when it comes to something in the medical field.
What I would have loved, though? I would have loved if Sylvester would have also had one of these places in Kansas City as well, so that we can kind of have like an inside deal with the Chiefs, because there's no NFL team in St. Louis. Because I would love, obviously, for what he's doing to be picked up on a over here.
Darren's just trying to get tested every day. That's all he wants. He wants to go every single morning.
I don't mind getting look. I don't mind getting tested. I tell I tell people I feel violated because when I pull up to the rapid test here in KC here, they're always trolling around. They say it's going to take 5 swabs. They take like 15 around both nostrils. I'm like, hey, look, you violate me, and so that's how I feel from time to time. But first, I got to say, man, look, man, it's very noble, and I'm happy and I'm proud of what you're doing and the way that you give back to the community in this format. And also, you give young people, if they don't know, an opportunity to see that it's more to life than just obviously sports and athletics, and that you can venture off and be your own boss and do other things and have the same, if not a greater impact to your community than what you're doing right now, man. So I've got to say thank you for that first and foremost, and congratulations on your success. I do want to go back to the NFL right quick and just get your thoughts on how you think the rest of the season will play out, and do you have a preference, or who do you plan, who you think is going to be in the Super Bowl and win it all?
I mean, I would say, man, listen, it's something to watch, because it won't hurt everybody until we in the playoff and Patrick Mahomes is get ready to play Justin Herbert for the title, and Patrick Mahomes get ready and play, Lamar Jackson for the title, and Patrick Mahomes kept COVID on. Tom Brady get to play Aaron Rodgers for the title to go to the Super Bowl, and then Aaron Rodgers gets COVID. And if they're going to be left with some tough decisions to make, because the thing I don't believe they're going to do, I don't believe they're going to roll their team out there without Aaron Rodgers. So it's going to be something to monitor, man. And unfortunately, man, I just feel like it's not enough efforts put in to prevent it. Because, man, I mean, I think a bubble would be a heck of an option, man, because they got to change something. They can't go into the playoffs under them, because we finna really going to the winner, and it's going to run crazy, man.
Yeah, there's too much money at stake. That's one thing. It's too much money, and the league lost a lot of money last year without having fans in the stand. And I keep telling people, one thing that they're not going to do, unless municipalities call for, which, trust me, I don't think is going to happen. There's still going to be 100% capacity over these last 3 weeks, and if nothing else in the playoffs, they are not going to shut down the Super Bowl, nor are they not going to have fans in that stadium, at SoFi Stadium. Not after last year. I just can't see that happening.
No, I don't see it happening either. Unless, like I said, unless it comes out from the government.
Yeah. So before we get out of it, let people know, how they can reach out to you, your website, and follow you if anything.
Yeah, you can find me on my web. Well, I'm slick. I did just get back on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Sly9Deuce, SLYNINEDUECE. I did just get back on Instagram 2 days ago. My website for Quantum is www.quantumlabgroup.com. And man, listen, man, check us out and listen. If there's any connections you can help us make and get back into the community, man, I could do the Kansas City teeth testing if they wanted me to and get them back fast. And I know whoever they use that ain't nothing but a hike up the road, So that's something I could make happen, but NFL, I'm too close to the NFL for them to give me a chance that I believe. But you never know, though.
Never know. Well, Sylvester, look, really appreciate your time. We'll get back with you very soon. And thank Ms. Dozier for me as well for putting us together. Appreciate it very much.
Oh, absolutely, man. Thank you guys, man. You guys have a great day. Take care. And if you need anything, let me know.
All right. Happy holidays. We'll take a quick time out to listen to Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Let's talk about America. Not taxes or tweets or the issues that divide us, but how incredible our country is. Whether you come home to a crowded city street or sleepy small town, everyone deserves to live in a clean, green, and thriving community. We are Keep America Beautiful, the nonprofit working with millions of people like you to end littering, improve recycling, and beautify communities. Learn more at KAB.org. Together, we can do beautiful things.
Hi, Olympic gold medalist Misty May Trainer here with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, reminding you to get moving every day.
Get up and play an hour a day, Doc. Check out how to be a player at letsmove.gov. A message from the Ad Council and HHS.
Right now, more than 125,000 children are waiting to be adopted from foster care. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption works around the clock to find them the permanent, loving homes they deserve. You can help. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of our future and getting back to what we love as more and more people get their COVID-19 vaccine. At the American Lung Association, we have science-based public health information you can trust to make a decision about the COVID-19 vaccination for yourself. Visit lung.org or call 1-800-LUNG-USA for more information.
Welcome back to Darren and Sterling here, ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM, 1510.com, Facebook Live. Blake Sheener's back there on the board. Darren and myself live in studio. Thank you again to Sylvester Williams coming on. I do want to talk about tonight's game. Looks like...
Oh, before we do that, irony rears its ugly head. Bills wide receiver Cole Beasley has been one of the NFL's most vocally unvaccinated players. He's on the COVID-19 reserve list. Okay, as you were.
The quarterback for tonight's game for the Washington football team will be...
Hold on, let me take a wild guess on who that might be. Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah, you looked that up because no one else would have known because it's
such
not
a wild guess.
I just happened to see it before.
Dude signed on Friday from the New England practice squad. Kyle Shermer, second-year player who has never appeared in an NFL game, will be the primary backup after being elevated from the practice squad. So, Washington football team. It ain't looking good. Especially with Jalen Hurts supposed back, although I'm still team Gardner Minshew. That mustache is too strong. But Garrett Gilbert getting the start for Washington. I saw that there were 16 players that tested that had COVID, tested yesterday. All of them were still positive. They get a test relatively soon. It may be at 4 o'clock. And if they test negative, then they're allowed to get on a private jet and try and fly there for game time. But it's not looking good.
Hold on. Where is that?
The game, I believe, is in Philly, and they're in Washington. They're close, man. You can take a train there and make it in time.
The game is in Philly. But I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Either way, tonight's game is going to be probably not very good. Who do you got in that one? Who do you got?
I ain't putting no money on tonight's game, but if I do, because
come on,
because you only blew my parlay yesterday.
We didn't blow your parlay.
You had the wrong teams.
I told
Who lost it?
No, you had the Raiders plus or -3. I had the Raiders +3 when I got in, and I hit
early.
Well, I got in yesterday. Early, baby.
Okay, well they were okay, but
I won.
You still missed the second game.
Sure. I had the under. Okay.
No.
Or the over, I mean.
Well, no. Now, yesterday we should just did the over under. We would have been much better off on a parlay on that. I'm gonna go with Philly at home. Philly. I think Philly pulls it out.
Eagles are now 9.5-point favorites since the news of that broke.
I'm not touching that stuff.
That skyrocketed from earlier. The good game, or at least better game, Seattle Seahawks, who've played pretty solid the past 2 games with Russell Wilson. They're starting to maybe get hot, and that's
they've activated Von Miller off the COVID list. Was he'll play in tonight's game?
And the LA Rams going to be in LA. LA 7-point favorites at home. Rams look good. I've
got the Rams. I don't have no problem with them going -7. I think they take it easily.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Rams tonight.
Even if it is a division game, they're both division games, but I just like this matchup better because they're peaking at the right time. Obviously, they had a 3-game losing streak. Now they're starting to trend in the right direction, especially with Arizona losing on Sunday. They smell blood in the water. They can win this game, tie Arizona. I think Arizona may still have the tiebreaker if that's the case. If they I think they split, but I think
well, they just
no, I'm saying no, they would have split, but I think conference-wise, I think Arizona might have an edge over that. So, but we'll see. I mean, they'll go into all the little tiebreaker stuff a little bit later. But even if that's the case, I still like the way it's trending. I think the Rams will end up winning the division now. I just think Kyler Murray and them are just going in the wrong direction.
Still room to hop on that one. Come on now, Darren.
What's that?
To hop on the Rams train in the NFC.
No. I don't have a problem with them winning the division. They're not going to the Super Bowl, but
we'll see.
Okay. You forget I was the one that always seem to pick the correct matchups. Chiefs, Bucks. Hello. I was the first one there. I was the first one. I got Chiefs, Bucks. Running back.
My 3 years straight of Saints. Chiefs.
Yeah, you and
Saints could just never get.
It's funny. You and Steve were picking the Chiefs and the Saints. You know what I'm saying?
And then regular season happens, and the Saints are handling the Bucks, and the Saints are still handling the Bucks.
Yeah,
come playoff time, it ain't happening.
That honestly, that's the biggest surprise for me in the NFC is the fact that they get so thoroughly dominated, but when the playoff comes, they just and it's funny because I would think that Tampa will be able to handle them in the playoffs, but I don't know. I mean, now they got so many players out, even though they're bringing back can't get right to the squad. It's just I don't know. But styles make fights, matches make the fights and stuff. And so, as long as I think this year, if they don't face them in the playoffs, I think they'll be okay. You never know.
You never know.
You know who I'll be surprised though if they make it to the NFC title game? The Cowboys.
No chance.
Do you know, man? I'm just saying. If they first of all, if they make the Super Bowl, that's going to be an issue within itself where you're not going to be able to keep people quiet. But look, want to thank Sylvester Williams for joining us on the show today, Sterling. You and I will be back unless COVID says otherwise tomorrow. And Blake, thank you for sitting in back there. We'll be doing this again tomorrow from 3 to 4. Until then, Darren and Sterling, ESPN Kansas City. We are out of here.